There we go. There we go. All right. Shalom, salama, siemi, shalom to all of my Israelite brothers and sisters, whether you're the blood of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahusha HaMashiach. I welcome you on Quest to Unite Africa. My name is Karis Copeland. I am the executive director here at Quest to Unite Africa, Q2UA. Um, there's a special that we have missiles, assassins, and diplomats leaving. Oh my. And with all of that going on, I wanted to just kind of bring up a few topics that I'm going to cover tomorrow at Covering Awakenings a little bit more in depth and in detail, since this is our 501c3 nonprofit. Any support that you give to Quest to Unite Africa as a 501c3, it is a tax deductible donation. So we definitely appreciate it. Caveat, if you're sending support to Brother Mike, you could do so via Zelle. His details are scrolling at the bottom. That's 470-836-4332. That's 470-836-4332. So this mission is a mission that we are on because we're starting to see how much things are moving. Today, I was on my way to get an oil change. I am going to Atlanta on Thursday. I will be doing a live. I'll be streaming on both Quest to Unite Africa and Covenant Awakenings. And in doing so, I want to just kind of hit over some fine points. And I'm heading out to Atlanta for some Q2A activities. Um, and on Friday, I will be co-hosting with Sister Shar, the art of diplomacy. And the art of diplomacy is um, a class of how we are reframing and reshaping our diplomatic approach with our relationships. And it's neo diplomacy. It's not a diplomacy where you're just bending on over and just being kowtowing to different things. No, that's not the effect, because let me tell you who's engaging in neo diplomacy: Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and other countries. Now, there are countries on the continent that have to, do things a little different because of how involved they are um, Eurocentric, with the Eurocentric system. And with the Eurocentric system, there is a component of not being able to manage your resources or their resources because it's not belonging to them. They've ceded power. That power had been ceded for a couple of generations. So it's not necessarily an easy transition for them, because those leaders that, are trying to cut the strings of the puppetry of the puppeteer, um, those cutting of strings can be detrimental. And it's not just detrimental, it can be seen as as the West will say, problematic and eccentric, and, all sorts of things of why are you not trying to stay within the structure? And this is where we're at here at this time. So, understanding how that works at a high level, how that works with your work, and how you have those dynamics. even in your interpersonal communication with friends, family, um, loved ones, children, spouses. This all affects you and how you are able to view and manage the uh, uh, coming transition of what's going to happen. And why do I say coming transition? Because this is a special report of missiles, assassins, and diplomats leaving. Oh my. And why is this important? Well, I'm going to show a few stories. I'm going to refer back to some folks in terms of news stories because on I'm going to preface this on Friday. We had an above ground earthquake or other event, and that happened Friday. And as that happened Friday, you have some. Well, you didn't have anything. And understand, you will see these anomalies and they won't be said, they'll be mentioned. They won't be interpreted, it'll just be shown. Because the last thing that they want to do is provide an interpretation of things that are going on. It it it, it won't happen. So why is that important, especially um in this day and age? Because understand a lot of the things that's happening, a lot of the things that's going on in the context of how we are piecing together the constructs. Yes, and pixie dust. What is an airquake? Well, there's really not an airquake. It really is an explosion. That explosion happened to take place east of the Seattle area, in a very relatively rural environment. So at that time, what was happening was you had the British government asking to use Storm Shadow missiles that could be fired into potentially Moscow. And at the same time, there was a lot of political shifting because, let's just face it, not a lot of people want to um, actively bomb Russian territory, especially with the capabilities that Russia has. And so I would say, arguably, that was a capability shown with that 2.7 um, Richter scale earthquake reading that occurred Friday at 5:12 Eastern Standard Time. And, was this something that caused the U.S. presidential cabinet, the National Security Council, with the visit of the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his delegation, some disconsternation because there had not been something formally arranged or allowed to be conducted. So as that situation had developed, the later on Friday, um, things hadn't really cooled and things didn't stall because I'm going to show you here how Turner, and take it for how you want to take it, but there were some interesting articles, interesting takes, because not a lot of things were really stated, except really via TikTok. So understand that you're gonna have some circular reporting on in here because again, when you're in a war footing, you're not gonna have traditional news outlets really report different things. So and if they do report, they're only going to report maybe several days later. And so that's why I say it's circular reporting because it hasn't been, gone over through the mainstream, hasn't been picked up on the mainstream channels. So I'm going to share this screen right here. This is all fair use. So this is the Russian ambassador. It's just a quick little tidbit from Hal Turner radio show. Russian diplomat families have left the United States. That's of September 13th. Have left the United States. The family of Russian ambassador Anatoly Antonov has reportedly left the United States and returned to Russia. The families of other senior diplomats from Russia's embassy in Washington, D.C., and its consulate in New York also were reportedly departed the U.S. earlier this week. So, according to sources familiar with the diplomatic operations here in the United States, the remaining senior diplomats from Russia are now operating with skeleton staffing levels at both the embassy and the consulate. So, what will end up happening? Here's actually what ends up happening in terms of diplomatic, okay? Diplomatic engagements. You'll have countries, more than likely Turkey, China, India, South Africa, and some other BRICS nations, potentially Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Ethiopia, and those are the ones that are, still cool with Russia. They will be the intermediary of sorts for the Russian embassy. Sweden operates in that manner for North Korea. But you still have a skeleton crew because there's still a presence. It's just that the presence has now been reduced, which means that in presence only, there is a quote unquote embassy. Whether that embassy is operational, it's not operational. So when I look at this, is Mr. Antonov has his life on the line, and the other senior staffers. Now, they may be able to leave via diplomatic engagements, emissarial rules that will allow them to leave once the war kicks off, but they would be there, in my opinion, to basically give that last warning probably in about 60 to 90 days. When you do stuff like that, it's 60 to 90 days. They're going to hit the button. Hey, if you're here, you're here. You know, now you need to leave. More than likely, it would be a message stating you probably have until an arbitrary date like December 1st or January 1st to leave. Because understand the rhetoric is going to get even more and more and more. So, the problem now that you have with the diplomats leaving is this: there's a sign that diplomatic engagements will be reduced. And when diplomatic engagements have been reduced, it just means that they're drumming up for war. That's all that is. It's either they're drumming up for war or they're getting ready for those missile strikes that will be happening within the Russian region. And, there will be a war declared. That's why I say 60 to 90 days. So mark this calendar, mark this number. More than likely, there's a strong indication. I think that that's a better phrase. It strongly indicates, back to my analysis and my analyst days of how I would preface words. So what you have that's going on there is only compounded in the meantime and in between time what is happening in the Middle East. So this is from The Guardian, from a Lorenzo Tondo. Netanyahu tells Houthis they will pay heavy price as missile hits Israel. The rebel group claims that would be first missile to have landed in Israel from Yemen, but no report of casualties. So understand a picture or a lack of a picture tells 1,000 words because they're going to give you perspective. There's a facility had been hit near the Ben Gurion airport. A facility had been hit, but they're just going to tell you they're gonna show you in the picture just the brush and everything else that had caused the fires, and they won't show you the actual structure that had been hit, because if they confirm that the structure has been hit, well, then you do this as an operations analyst, as somebody that's there in the Houthis, looking to see your battle damage assessment to see if it's been destroyed, if it's been degraded, to see the capabilities, if you had the targeting, because understand, let me show this right here. The missile claimed by the Houthis as an advanced surface to surface, here's a key word: hypersonic missile. Triggered air sirens across the country at about not 6:30 a.m. Local media aired footage of people racing to shelters at Ben Gurion International Airport, southeast of Tel Aviv. According to reports, it hit an open area in Benjamin. And I don't think so. I think that this is false reporting, because there's other videos that show that it actually hit a target. It hit its target. But that's really neither here nor there. So I'm going to show you this. Let me share this tab. Give me a second. Mm. You YouTube or StreamYard is not liking this. Understand, StreamYard does not like a lot of the things that we show are here you go. So, it hit some critical infrastructure, and there were other fires going on. It hit something, some sort of a plant, some sort of a structure. As first reported by Reuters, Houthi rebels have struck central Israel for the first time using a new hypersonic missile that traveled more than 1,000 miles in just over 10 minutes. So that's according to Steve Henke of X. Now stop sharing that. So understand, why is this tie in with Russia? Understand that the U.S. was doing a lot of the interventions in Ukraine, and Russia had said, if you do that, we're going to start arming people that don't like a lot of your family or your no, yeah, it is family, but your other countries, their friendly nations. Lo and behold, I had speculated. I said, yeah, probably one of the first recipients of that, and others had speculated that one of the first recipients of that would be the Houthis. So the Houthis have stated in their claim by the Houthis as an advanced surface to surface hypersonic missile. Where would they get that advanced surface to surface hypersonic missile? You guessed it, you named it. More than likely from the Russians via Iran. The question now is going to be, how many hypersonic missiles do they have? And where are their launching apparatus, their launch points? Understand, family, as someone that had intimately covered the Houthis back in 2019. Yeah, oh yes, family. I have the professional creds to talk about this problem set when it comes to the Houthis. They had a civil war going on since 2013, 2014 that really kicked off in 2015. It didn't end till 2021, 2022, when you had a cessation of hostilities, and then you had a peace agreement in 2023 between Saudi Arabia and Iran. I understood this problem set. I did this problem set on the ground within the Middle East. And their target at that time was UAE and Saudi Arabia. Understand, UAE and Saudi Arabia are now going to play friendly with the Houthis. It's over now. That don't understand there are regional implications here that a lot of folks don't truly understand this. Because in some articles it was showing 7,200 kilometers per hour, which is almost like 5,000 miles per hour. It was a hypersonic missile. And when you see this in the article, they're going to post you some truths about the article that folks only had 10 minutes to get there to the bomb shelters. Yahya Sareh, a Houthi military spokesperson, said a new hypersonic ballistic missile had been aimed towards an Israeli military target, which crossed. Here it is 1,270 miles in 11 minutes. Not my words, those are his words. So if it's, let's just say, for the sake of argument, 1,200, you got an hour. So let's use this math logic here. For the sake of argument, 1,200 miles in 10 minutes. For the sake of argument, let's bring this down to 1,100 miles in 10 minutes. Well, in 10 minutes, how many more minutes do you need to have in an hour? That's 60 minutes, right? So now 1,100, for the sake of argument, times 6, which then agrees, let's use the math, that then agrees with the the mileage within that 10-minute period. That means that in 1 hour, which is now the speed, we're potentially almost 7,000. 7,000 miles an hour. That thing was hauling butt. And in 10 minutes, 10 minutes, you can't plan for 10 minutes. This is a game changer. This is why when you deal with these game changers, it's very innocuous, right? It's not to alarm, it's not to unsettle folks. This isn't normal. And we know that it's not normal because I'm going to tell you, family, if that Eastern Mediterranean nation had the capacity to bring the missile down, then they would have brought it down. And understand, it's not necessarily about the Houthis firing the missiles. Now the question is, if the Houthis have it, do these Syrian and Iranian backed militias and proxy groups, do they have it? There's a big calculus now that's going on in that Eastern Mediterranean nation. Should I stay or should I go? See, it was all fine and dandy when they had these superior technological resources to wage war however they wanted, where they wanted. Potentially speaking, it could reach the United States. From there to the United States, it's about 6,000 miles. I know. So it can reach the United States in less than an hour. And yes, in this one, no one has to know exactly. That is the rabbit having the gun. So, what does that mean on the world stage? That means that these countries that have been traditionally, stepped on and, had all, whatever they wanted to do, they could do. Because why? Because they didn't have any type of retaliation. You can do what you want. All right, I'm gonna throw missiles at you, and if you just hit me with toothpicks, man, I'm gonna be throwing those missiles at you all day. Are you ready? Are you ready to submit? Are you gonna submit? Eventually, yeah, you're gonna submit because your toothpicks aren't doing anything. Now they're coming with a knife to a gunfight. There's no submitting. And no, the missile was not shot down, as you could tell. It hit some critical infrastructure points. As I had said, family, on Covenant Awakenings, and I'm saying this right here on this channel, we have to understand we are in a pre-wartime footing. Pre-wartime footing. Pre-war. Because why? You're not going to have this information reported to you. It's not going to happen. Because I'm going to tell you why it's not going to happen. Let me show you. I just put this in the chat. If I can get this to play without all these commercials. This was from the Daily Mail. Exclusive son of alleged would-be assassin Ryan Wesley Ralph says his dad hates Trump like all reasonable people, but he's never owned a gun and wouldn't do anything that as crazy. The son of Ryan Wesley Ralph, the man named as a suspect in a possible assassination attempt near Donald Trump's Florida Golf Club on Sunday has said, and I get so many commercials, sorry. Usually don't like to play anything from this because it will shut down my stuff. So bear with me. Put this in the frame. Has said his father is not a violent person and did not even believe him to own a gun. Okay. Ralph's son, Orrin Ralph, reached by Daily Mail shortly after Sunday's shooting, said this was the first he'd heard of the alleged assassination attempt. This was the first I heard about it, the 35-year-old exclusively told DailyMail.com. That was my father shot or injured. So he had to be in his late 50s, early 60s. Assuming they caught him alive. More than likely, they took him to Chipotle to get a, bowl because, hey, that's how they treat them. Let's just be honest. That's how they treat them. He said his father hates Trump as every reasonable person does. Every reasonable person does. Do you see what's happening? It's going to become unhinged. I don't like Trump either, the son added, but he said his dad is not a violent person and couldn't believe his father would target the president. There he is in his, garb, yellow and blue hair, and Trump is going into office. Kamala, Kamala. Ah, I'm joking, but these folks are becoming crazy. That's on I-95. I know exactly where that's at. Driven there multiple times because my dad lives in Boca Raton. So in order for me to go get to him, I usually take I-95 or I take the turnpike. Fair use. He's my dad, and all he's had is a couple traffic tickets. As far as I know, the son said that's crazy. I know my dad and love my dad, but that's nothing like him. The former president was rushed to safety on Sunday after multiple shots were fired in his vicinity while he was playing golf at his club in West Palm Beach. Ralph said his father had no military experiment experience. Well, that explains it. And said he traveled to Ukraine following Russia's 2022 invasion to help volunteer and provide aid to those affected. Ralph moved to Hawaii a few years back and was living with his longtime girlfriend. He said he didn't know his father was even in Florida. I'm telling you, these folks are going to start to become unhinged. When I tell you, if they were to, not if, but when they do declare the thing, the WAR, now he wasn't even from Florida. He was from Hawaii. And he came over here, came down to Florida acting a fool. Understand, family, this is the state of this nation. He didn't tell his own son he was going there. Mama, I love you. DTT holding it down. Mom, I love you. So understand they're getting driven to the point of chaos. Understand that I don't even like to talk about politics because why? Somebody will kill you over this. I mean, delete you. Sorry. We're trying to monetize this channel, family. So every like, share, and subscribing that happens, it just helps us to share this channel. Brother Mike will be on at noon Eastern time. Liking and sharing and subscribing, guess what? It doesn't cost you any money. It really doesn't. It'll cost you, the time to take to look at some notifications going off every now and then. But that is how you can support the channel. It really is. And as the Fed is getting ready to increase the rate, or excuse me, not increase, but decrease the rates, it's going to signal concern in the stock market. And the opposite will be true when people think that they're going to borrow, they're not going to borrow because they're going to see how everything starts to look. Well, if things get cheaper, then my money's going to get cheaper, and then my money's going to start devaluing. It's going to be an opposite effect at the end of this week. I'm just letting you all know right now. You'll have a bump. I'm pretty sure I can probably go to Market Watch right now. You're going to have a big bump right now. Oh, they're waiting on the Fed to slash the numbers. And yes, they have a big bump, 234. I can show this to you because I'm trying to show you how this thing works. It's when you know how it works, you now see the patterns, or as Brother Walt would say, the patterns. Shout out to Brother Walt. Dow trades in record territory. Look, they're trading. They're going high. Why is that? Because they're getting ready for the markets. Because here's the thing, if you don't know anything about markets and monetary policy, guess what? This all sounds fine and dandy. Oh, they're about to start loosening the belt. They're about to start giving away funds. They're about to start doing this. But if you are someone that understands the economy, no, that's going to have the opposite effect because all that's signaling is the markets are much worse than what they appear to be. Well, I thought there's going to be a hiring surge because at least, there's going to be a bump in this and that. That may not be the reality. And family, that's why I say, look, your support, it's crucial in these times. Your support is directly impactful of what we do on the continent. Your support helps for Sister Shar and I to bring workshops, especially to the Atlanta metro area, where we have about 8 tickets left for those that would like to attend. It's going to be this Friday. 8 tickets left to where you would be able to receive the full event package, you would need to sign up at this link in the chat. Because understand, to me, personally speaking, this is just me personally speaking, the ones that's going to ramp up the most now at this time are going to be defense contractors. Your Northrop Grumman's, your Raytheons, your Lockheed Martins, and your General Dynamics. The big fours. See, understand, family. I used to work under the big four. Understand, family. I understand because I get emails from my last employer. We can bring you on right now under this subcontractor. We can bring you on here, under there. And I'm not gonna lie, I get tempted. Every once in a while I get tempted. But I also understand the position that the Most High has put me in to do this work. We don't get grants. We don't get the traditional funding that you would have for your nonprofit partners. And I know, yeah, family, I know we are all going through it. We're all going through it. And, here's the thing. I thank the Most High that He set up Quest to Unite Africa because here's the thing. We had an 18-month head start? Almost 18 months right now? Because we were already being moved and positioned in this time to do great things with our brothers and sisters on the continent. And you don't even want to know what's happening behind the scenes of how folks are trying to affect and degrade our systems. It happens. You don't even understand how they try to shut us down in different formats and capacities. You can't understand it because here's the thing, I'm not even allowed to mention it. And it's crazy to see what is being done to this organization. Is the same thing I used to witness. So, no, we absolutely have no friends out here in this space. And when I tell you that your support goes a long way, it really does. But that's what helps. That supports this mission. This mission here is to be able to communicate with our brothers and sisters on the continent. It's a mission. Because why? Because we haven't done this in over 400 years and 500 years in certain respects. just within this transatlantic world war. So I can get on up here, and it seems as though, man, Brother Karras is asking for money, asking for money. And yes, I am. I'm asking you to support us. Because, yeah, the Nigerian president's playing. Well, what do you think that they're trying to do with just these small organizations that's here in the United States? And they can directly reach on out and impact and affect us. Come on now. This was not going to be a small thing. This was always going to be a fight for their survival. We already know that we won the war, we won the battle, but they're looking at how they're losing the war, no matter how much they're trying to create circumstances, how much they try to limit, how much they try to hinder. And that's the Most High who makes the way. When sometimes it's like, there's no way. I look at things, I'm like, man, I don't know. And then I just say, Father, you know. And we see him do some miraculous things. We get on up here every day as a living sacrifice to Yahuwah, either through Covenant Awakenings, where I'm on Tuesdays through Thursdays, or Quest to Unite Africa. But let me tell you, family, this is literally a fight. And honestly, we cannot do this without you all support. So when I come on out here and I'm pleading for you all support, it really is a plead. Because we're so close to the finish line. And yes, they are going to hit you with everything that they have to control this dollar. They do not want you to empower our people. They don't want us to empower, to be empowered, to be helpful, to make connections. That's the last thing that they want us to do. So, what do you think they're doing? It's a scorched earth tactic. They don't care if they have to destroy their own people's pockets as long as these Negroes are not coming together. But that's what we have to do in coming together and gathering and having a stand and understanding with our brothers and sisters. So I'm going to be doing that for a little bit. This event that Sister Shar and I are hosting, the Art of Diplomacy. You will be blessed. When we did the Quest to Unite Africa, Invest in Africa seminar, that was a blessing, and it still continues to bless today. But these are the things that we ask that our community supports. They do not like when we're supporting one another. They just don't. You saw that in Tulsa. You saw that in uh, Rosewood and other parts of this country. That when we came together, we become economic powerhouses. So imagine coming together with our brothers and sisters on the continent. Yeah, sorry, Mike. I was about to wrap up. I'll let you go, Mike, but I really need to wrap up. So go ahead, brother Mike.
Oh no! You go wrap up. I mean, I was just saying, hey man, I was listening to everything that you were saying. It's going to get this way. You know, we always seen in history when it came to Israel, it always got rough at that like final end. It got rough, and people start questioning themselves, the brotherhood, and they want, hey, did I make a mistake, or am I really an Israelite? And I mean, man, looking at all this stuff that you brought out, then and they know how to affect us. I mean, they have a gift in doing that, causing disruptions and things of that nature. You said this months ago. This is not for. Yacoba said the same thing. This is not for the faint of heart.
Mm-mm.
This is not. It is not for the faint of heart. And especially you stepping up and trying to make something of an organization that is like an Israelite ran organization, Negro ran organization, and you don't find too many of them around, and you don't find too many of them surviving. Truthfully,
yeah,
you don't find them.
Let me so but booty with brains. No, if you give to Covenant Awakenings, I refund that. That doesn't come here. You can give to quest2uniteafrica.org. There's a link that's there. So yes, do not give to $COVAWK if you're trying to give to Quest to Unite Africa. That is no, we don't do that because Quest to Unite Africa is a 501c3. It's a 501c3 organization, and we have to go off of those applicable laws. Excuse me. So yes, I wanted to address that. So if you want to support Brother Mike directly, you can Zelle him. It's at 470-836-4332. That's scrolling across this video. But you can also give to Quest to Unite Africa by visiting quest2uniteafrica.org or going to the link that I just that I have here on the screen. So yes, so that is where we're at. Brother Mike, if you want to finish on up, and then I got to get on out of here to this appointment.
You know what? But to just jump over to the donation side. It's my thing is this. I'm here. I deal with the frustration, and I know what brothers and sisters do not want to go through. And I'm trying my best. QTUA is trying our best to make sure that we can iron out that road. I try to avoid a lot of the unnecessary nonsense that you don't have to go through, because you don't know. We didn't know our way around, and you'll be surprised how much money you would spend just trying to get around, trying to understand. If you're talking about looking for an apartment, if you come in there speaking anything but outside of Swahili, and they pick up on it that you are an American, that rent may have been $7,500. That thing goes, it go a whopping to $500 a month because you are an American.
Mm-hmm.
So we know the pitfalls. So we're trying to get things laid out in a way that it can take away a lot of the unnecessary stress. Where you can, if you're talking about coming here doing, start your business, where you don't have to have that unnecessary nonsense to be following you while you trying to achieve to bigger and better things in order to help brothers and sisters here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Question Unite Africa is doing. And and at the same time, it takes donations to do those things. But at the same time, those donations are going to help brothers and sisters in the States, or no matter where they're at. It's going to. And I mean, that's the whole. That's just one of the goals. That's just one of the goals that we are trying to achieve, and this is the reason why we still here. Yeah, you heard other brothers and sisters get on there. They expressed their frustration, but we kept on with it, and it's paying off. It is literally paying off. But you don't hear the Europeans speaking negative about Africa, but you find our people saying, no, it's too much corruption. You got corruption in the United States. You got it everywhere. We're not here to take over any government. We're here to work with the government and work within their laws. And at the same time, trying to draw ourselves back to our brothers and sisters where we can work together. That's what we're here for. I hand it back to you, Brother Karras.
All right, thank you, brother Mike. So yeah, that's it, family. I wanted to get on in here real quick, discuss some of these things. We'll continue this discussion tomorrow on Covenant Awakenings, because look, a lot of things are really moving pretty quickly around here. But understand, we do have a presence on the continent, both on the West and East African side, and hopefully we'll establish a presence in the southern part of Africa here relatively soon. So, but we need that. We need to be able to talk to our brothers and sisters. So, it's not a question of if, but when we are out of here, we can leave in a manner to where it's not as hectic and chaotic, as people
Mm-hmm.
will believe it to be. No, it'll be in a fashion, in a order that is not chaotic, because the Most High doesn't move in chaos; He moves in order. So that's what
Absolute order.
people, and that's what we're doing as His people. Well, we need to support that. Please support the mission. Please support the event, and I'll have the details there in the chat. With that said, family, I got to get up on out of here because I have to get things done on my day off. And with that said, family, most time willing, you can catch me tomorrow on Covenant Awakens. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. We have to grow this channel, family. Liking and sharing is not labor intensive. It's not resource intensive. It really is just your fingers doing some some technological things to let the folks know that we're doing something here. So with that said, I got to get up on out of here to get some things done. And for those that are registering for the event for Friday, I can't wait to see you on Friday in Atlanta. So with that said, family, I got to get up on out of here, and you all have a great rest of your day. Shalom.